Recovery means to me is freedom and peace.
There is hope.
Recovery is awesome.
Recovery works.
Recovery is possible. There is hope.
Recovery is possible. There is hope.
Recovery to me means freedom.
Recovery is possible.
Recovery works. Recovery is always possible. It's fantastic.
Progress, not perfection.
Recovery is possible.
Recovery works.
Recovery is a journey, not a destination.
Welcome to Montana's Peer Network Recovery Talks podcast. I'm Jim Haney, the Executive Director, and today I'm here with a special guest. You may recognize her from a previous podcast that we did, and we said we're gonna do another one. We're gonna get back on, and it's taken us a while. And I have to apologize because I was sick for so long I couldn't talk. My voice was so scratchy and hoarse. But here we are. And so please introduce yourself, and we have a great topic for today. I'm super excited.
Hi, I'm Heidi Wattenbach.
And you're on the board.
Yes, I am.
You're on the board of directors now. I don't think you were. Were you the first time when we? I don't think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you had taken PS 101, and we said, hey, we should do a podcast, and yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. So today's topic that we're going to talk about is food and how that interacts in our recovery and the things you do and I do and why this is so important and yet not talked about. Really, it's not really something that I don't think is very high on the list when people get into recovery or go to treatment, or I don't think diet is one of those things. But I know I discovered it is, right? So yeah, go ahead.
So I think that's what bothers me the most is that other countries, this is a huge, huge part of their government. All of it's been banned. They've all called people on making money off our addictions and our cravings and taste. So
yeah, like the red dye, that's one of them. That's been banned in Europe for a long time. I don't know the exact year. I'd have to look it up. But that's been banned from food, and we know it's no good, yet we still allow it. And just recently, Mr. Kennedy, head of Health and Human Services, is finally bringing this to light, saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this. We need to stop. We need to stop doing this. And there's pushback. There's pushback, right? I mean, people don't want their favorite Swedish fish to go away, which are filled with red dye or licorice or whatever, right? And
that's how they make money too. It's money driven, I think.
I mean, I thought this for a long time. It's like, you talk about candy, in particular, candy bars, any kind of, it's like there's something in there like I'm fine not eating candy bars. I have no problem. But if I eat one, I begin just craving it. It's like the chemical makeup of the bar itself is doing something in my head to make me addicted to it.
Well, I tell my kids that Doritos was the first company. That's how they made a Dorito. They hooked them up to MRIs and watched where it lit up until the Dorito was. So I'm unfortunately
Dorito, I feel good.
Yeah. So my kids can't usually eat anything without me calling it science food or made in a science lab or. I mean, one time I looked at the back of a beef jerky Jiffy stick, and it said mechanical pork meat. It was a mechanical meat.
What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that, right? And just recently in the news, Reese's peanut butter cups came out and said, we don't use chocolate. It's not chocolate. We changed the recipe because all these people were complaining about the taste, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they came out and said, it's a chocolate coating. It's supposed to be chocolate and peanut butter. Like, I think that's what most of us imagine a Reese's peanut butter cup to be. But here it turns out the company is like, yeah, no, we've made up some stuff, right? And I'm the kind of person where a couple times a year I get a craving for a Reese's peanut butter cup. And I have noticed the last few years, they don't taste like they did when I was a kid. It tastes very, very different. There's something about it that just doesn't taste quite right. And now the world knows because it's not chocolate. And even chocolate, right? Like if you talk about just chocolate itself, in Europe, they use real chocolate. We are using milk chocolate, watered down version, and that's what we represent chocolate. But that's not what you would get in Europe. You would get an actual chocolate, real chocolate. And I think it's the same with cheese. I think I've read before Parmesan cheese that we have in the United States is not actually deemed cheese by the International Cheese Association or whatever because it's processed. It's right. It's not.
I read that. I watched a
right?
documentary on that. It's a filler. They said it was a filler in America.
That it's not even a cheese, but that's what we know. Like that's, now you can buy good cheese, right? Mm-hmm. But what does all this stuff do to our mental health? Mm-hmm. That's the question, really. And how is it making us sick? Physically, mentally, emotionally? If we're eating these chemicals, these fillers, these coatings, I mean, I think those of us who are in recovery and have made real progress begin to recognize, I don't know, let me ask you, was there a time when you began to recognize that in your recovery where food, you sort of became aware suddenly, food has a huge impact?
We actually talked about this on the last podcast because it's one of the things I do to stay healthy. And coming from Washington, that's the one thing I do like is I call it hippie food. And it's organic. Even organic is, and it's so expensive you can't even afford it.
Right.
And organic is at least cleaning it up a little bit, taking the antibiotics out of the pesticides.
Right.
But then they raise the price so much that you have to be single family to afford it.
Yeah.
And then the herbs and the pesticide. And so I admire Washington and kind of miss it, how they did kind of make a culture of food and making it healthier. But that they're just adding these chemicals, I feel like it almost makes me sick, the more chemicals they put in there.
I think it does. That's my belief, is that I think it does. It's like what you're saying, I totally agree with, like spinach. I try to eat spinach every couple weeks, right? So I buy the bunches of spinach, not the bagged spinach, the bunches. I'm thinking it's fresher. The organic, if I have the money, I'll buy that. That's like double the price. But then I'm reading spinach is one of the most pesticide-filled vegetables you can eat. And so I'm like, am I losing what I think I'm gaining? I think I'm gaining, right? Spinach is good in like iron, good place to get your iron from. But am I losing that because I'm also ingesting all these chemicals? Because the more you cook vegetables, the less nutrient dense they become. The nutrients bleed out of them. So I'm trying to eat it in a salad, right? Or just some light cooking, like keeping it very light, not overcooking it. But then I'm like, what about the pesticides? Am I eating that? Is that, What's that doing to my liver or my kidneys? How is my body processing that?
I just watched a documentary on that exact same thing, and it's coming to light, This documentary is about how these people mastered making the perfect tomato, how it can sit on the shelf for 2 weeks,
Right.
and the color in
Yeah.
stuff. And then now they're recognizing that they took this test, that when they did that, the nutrition value went down.
Right.
Now they're trying to like balance it back out. But
it looks great.
Got rid of all these other seeds from doing that.
Right. But the tomato looks great.
Yep, and it lasts a long time.
And it lasts a long time, but when you taste it, it tastes like mush.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know when I got my greenhouse, I always grow tomatoes in my greenhouse. You can't even compare the flavor from a homegrown tomato to a store-bought. It's like night and day. It's like you're eating two different things, right? Now, mine don't look as pretty. Mine don't look as pretty, right? I mean, as the store, but the ones in the store, that this is not, the flavor is not there. You know that as soon as you bite into it. And what is all of that doing? All of this manipulation of nature, what is this doing to us as people? And we're seeing, right? Like, you mentioned a couple documentaries. What is this really doing to us in our mental health? And how is this contributing? Yeah.
I think a big thing that pops in my brain when you say that is my twin daughters. They were identical twins in the same sac, so they shared the same placenta. It was very dangerous. We actually moved to Billings to get Dr. Dameron at Billings Clinic, and so they had to be born at 34 weeks because it was safer for them to be born that early than be in the womb with the risk factors going on. Mm-hmm. But then we had to formula feed them. And the first thing the doctor sat down and said, because they can't have milk when they're that young. Their body can't digest it. So they told me that they would have to be formula fed with soy. But they told me all the things that can happen by feeding your kids soy milk, from early puberty, from the hormones, and that. But like I said, the outcome of the not feeding them soy milk was worse than feeding them soy milk. But my doctors were telling me, that soy is a huge, it gives you extra hormones, estrogen, and then they can go into puberty early.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So did you switch to the soy? Did you use the soy? Did you choose that?
I had to.
You had to.
So young. Because they said the milk, they're so young they can't digest it.
They don't have the enzymes.
And I tried to breastfeed them, but, the body gets pretty beat up from ripping two babies out of you. And I couldn't produce because you kind of need a real baby to make you produce, not, I mean, in the NICU and me trying to pump it myself. It just, nature needed me to do it naturally for it to work. So I had to feed them the soy formula.
Yeah.
They gave me some warnings and stuff. So
that reminds me of so I think I talked about this in the first video. I do these shakes in the morning. I think I talked about this. I've been doing these for years. I've been drinking these I buy this powder, and I did a ton of research on the powder. I found one that has lots of nutrients in it, supplements, vitamins, that kind of thing. Now, I don't do it for the protein, but I also have trouble in the morning eating. Like, I couldn't eat certain foods, and I don't eat cereal, none of that processed stuff. So anyway, for years I've been doing this, and I use coconut milk. So just within the last, 6 months, there's like all this information coming out about coconut milk or not coconut milk, sorry, almond milk. You've always used almond milk. That almond milk may not be as healthy for you as it's promoted. And that coconut milk is better, but there's some things with that too. Your digestion, you can't digest a ton of coconut milk. So I made this switch from almond milk in these shakes to coconut milk. And my digestive system immediately reacted, did not like the switch from one to the other. So I do more research on the almond milk and find what you were saying with the estrogen. It makes your body in men produce estrogen. And I'm like, for years, I'm drinking all this almond every day. I'm having a shake in the morning. I put some blueberries in there. I blend it up and some powder and blend that up. And so anyway, so now I'm drinking, I've been drinking up until 2 weeks ago. I had been drinking a blend. It's an almond and coconut milk blend. So you're only getting half. But then I'm trying something and I'm trying to not do the shakes in the morning and try to get my body back to where I once was, which was to sit down and have a breakfast with eggs, because my body's had trouble digesting like food other than a shake. If I eat a meal, it totally upsets my digestive system. And I've been like that for, maybe 15 years. So that's what got me going on the shakes, because I'm hungry. I wake up in the morning and I need something in my system. I can eat oatmeal. But anyway, so I tried this chia seeds. Do you know about chia seeds? Do you eat chia seeds at all?
I've heard about it.
So you just put it in water or milk. So I'm using the almond coconut milk blend. It's like a half a cup. You put the seeds in there, and it makes like a pudding. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. Like, it makes like a pudding. Put it in the fridge. Next morning, wake up, eat this. This is my second week, so I've only been on it. Like, I already not only feel better, but I feel mentally clearer, and I'm already noticing I don't have bloating during the day. That's disappeared. And it's pretty filling. It's curbing my hunger. And the second part of this switch is to eat a bigger meal around lunchtime and not eat it in the evening. Do you do that? Do you switch your meal times? Like, traditionally, we would eat a big meal in the evening, right?
Homan's barking at me. Hang on.
Yeah. Heidi's taking care of her. There he goes.
So, right now I'm eating every 3 hours.
Okay.
And then at nighttime I have a lean and green, and that is kind of a diet I learned from a keto diet.
Okay.
And so I eat like about 200 calories for breakfast every 3 hours, and that really seems to do amazing results. Because
Nice.
that's kind of what I'm looking for, is results. So
Yeah. Well, that's me too. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out and lose some weight. I'm one of those people where I always put on weight in the winter, and now as the weather gets better in the spring, it starts coming off because I'm more active. I'm outside. I'm doing all kinds of things. I'm hiking. But this meal thing has always been a challenge for me. And that's how I got on these shakes. And then now I'm thinking maybe the shakes aren't that great. They're not bad necessarily, but they're not as good as, can I get back to eating a proper breakfast?
what me and my husband are looking into is fasting. And then
Oh,
you
yeah,
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 don't eat like when
yeah.
I eat that meal at dinner, I don't eat till the morning. That's called
Right,
fasting.
right.
So I feel like what we're talking about right here is the ketosis of the keto diet I'm talking about,
Yes,
or the fasting. And
yes.
the ketosis has, in its way, been kind of a little too hard on my system.
Hmm.
But the fasting seems to be better. I mean, these guys, they swear by 3-day fast on and off. And it says it could put you in this mode that just heals all your cells. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first part, it's like the carnivore diet. If you just go heavy protein, of course you're going to lose weight because you're starving your body of the carbohydrate intake. So your body's going to start eating its own fat, essentially, to give you energy. Of course, that's always going to work. But I'm with you. It's like too extreme. It's too harsh on the body, right? It's like I still need to function during the day and do work because you get a brain fog going on with it because you're not taking in enough
hmm
carbohydrates. And so, yeah, it's so interesting. And the fasting thing that like, if you eat just something smaller around, say, the evening time, and then you're not eating, that's a lot of hours, right, for your body to heal and process everything, as opposed to the carnivore, which gets you into the ketosis, where you're just, and I've seen a lot of people go overboard with the carnivore thing where, somebody maybe I haven't seen them in 6 months or a year, and then you see them and they're so thin. There's like, they've lost their muscle mass. They've lost everything. And they're like, oh yeah, I eat steak 3 times a day. And it's like, but you don't seem like you're healthy. And that doesn't, like it's too far. It's like, how do you find that balance?
I think it was easy for me to find the balance because the first time I did that keto diet, I ended up in the Billings Clinic,
You did.
psychiatric unit. Yes, I did. Um,
So what happened? Did it bring your symptoms back out?
yeah,
What did
the
you do?
ketosis had caused me to break. And I remember it was because, with my schizophrenia, if I have too much stress, I just become psychotic. Like I tried like to learn like skills and warnings and stuff. There just isn't. And so I
Once,
tried the keto diet and I just broke. And it stood out to me because the last time I was in the hospital was 10 years, and you learned all these skills trying to avoid going to the
right, right,
hospital. And
right,
then
right.
getting out of the hospital, how long I still stayed psychotic.
That was going to be my question. How long did it take
Yep,
to come all the way back? How long did it take
about
you?
3 days. They had to release me, and I still had to meet up with my doctor online, outpatient. And they put me on Zyprexa to kind of pop me out of it. And it was about 3 days. And 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 I don't want to take Zyprexa. But
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
psychotic, they're trying to.
yeah. They want to medicate.
Yeah.
That's what they always do. They want to medicate. Yeah.
So I think that my journey right now that we're talking is based off ketosis and fasting to keep
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
mind healthy of not becoming
Hmm.
psychotic.
And you're a runner.
Yeah.
Do you run in the winter too?
Yeah, we got a treadmill
So
in
you
the
run
house.
inside.
Yeah.
And see that I discovered for myself that it's just like, we've had kind of a mild winter, but the weather shifted, clearly, right? We have these real sunny days and 50, 60-degree temperatures. As soon as I get outside and I get active, I immediately start feeling better. The sunshine, right? Talk
Vitamin
about
D.
vitamin D, right? Because you're not wearing a winter coat and a hat and gloves and all this stuff. You're outside now in a t-shirt and your arms are exposed, your face is exposed, your neck. I think a couple days I've even been out in shorts already because it's been so warm. I can feel that instantaneously. I instantly just begin to feel better, and the impact of that, like, it's amazing. And the other part that goes with that, with the food, is I don't overeat
Yep.
because I'm not sitting around, or I'm not like hibernating inside because it's 20 degrees and the wind's blowing and it's snowing. I'm outside, so I'm eating a lot less, but I'm also not hungry. I'm not craving things.
I feel like early in the 90s, that's one of the first things I was diagnosed with up in Washington was the seasonal affective disorder.
Mhm.
And I can get psychotic during the winter with no sunshine, no going outside, sitting
Mhm.
inside all cold. And
Yeah.
I feel like I start eating food to comfort myself.
Yeah.
Feel
Yes.
better.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's built into our culture. I mean, I really do. I mean, you can sit there with a streaming service and watch movies or shows and just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and just you're completely sedentary. You're not moving. You're just, yeah. I mean, this whole thing that we're talking about, it's such a big part of recovery, and I don't know, for me, I don't know how you feel about this, but it's like when you first get into recovery, it's about getting stable. You have to get stable, just like you're describing ending up back in the hospital, right? The first thing is you have to stabilize. But after you get some time in, then you can start looking at all these other things. Like food is a huge one, right? Like,
Yeah.
you would agree with that? Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Before we go on to that, I think the one thing that you're hitting on that I can't help saying is that a lot of these medications they put me on cause me to eat food and gain weight. And I feel like
yeah,
that's what's
yeah,
actually they think is making me feel better, is that it's making me eat food to feel better. So my whole life I've been like, why is
no,
everybody not looking at these medications for psychiatric issues just
right,
make people eat food and get fat?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, we know I mean, the water weight gain alone, that's very real with all the mental health meds. Almost all of them have that in the side effects. And you start gaining weight, and now your joints are swelled up. You don't feel good when you do move now, right? You don't get that good feeling of, oh, I'm moving my muscles and, I'm doing stuff. And then what happens next? Now the blood sugar starts climbing, right? Over a number of years, starts climbing up, and pretty soon, why do we have so many people with a diagnosis who have diabetes? I mean, it's all connected, right? And then all the sitting and what that does to your legs and your blood circulation and how it starts pooling in people's legs. And now you don't really feel good when you walk around.
yeah.
And
And then the self-conscious feeling of gaining weight.
I'm
And
overweight.
knowing you
Exactly.
feel better to go outside, but you're so zombied out, you can't even get up to go outside or feel good enough to even go
Yes.
outside.
Yes. I agree. I totally agree. Do you remember, did you ever watch that show called Biggest Loser, about the losing weight? It was the two
Yes, I
fitness,
do remember that.
and how they would take people who were really obese, right? Sometimes even husbands and wives, families, and work with them on losing the weight. And inevitably, you know, whatever, 4 or 5 episodes in, there was this mental health component. They were eating their trauma. They were eating loss of a loved one. Maybe a child passed away. There was always something in there, like, would come out, right? And I just think it's such a big part of our society. And even if you're watching TV, the commercials, I mean, the commercials are all about eating Doritos, have another Coca-Cola, have a Pepsi, right? Like, it's this messaging, you don't see messages that are talking about, hey, get outside and get active and eat healthy things. And you don't see those things. That's not really promoted, right? And I think that's a huge factor. I think culturally, society, all of these things play into it, and I'm working on a course in the LMS on this topic. The working title for the course is Fostering Recovery. And it breaks out each of these things you and I are talking about here. Activity, sleep. Sleep is another huge one, right?
Oh yeah. Wow. That's my number one medicine. And I had to learn food, sleep, outside activity, because the medication are so horrible that these make me feel better, so much better that,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I wonder, is the reason why these things we're talking about not promoted in I'm going to call it treatment in the behavioral health system is because they haven't figured out how to make money on it.
Yep.
The food people are making money on it, but the behavioral health people haven't figured out how to make money off of these things we're talking about.
Yeah.
I really think that. I really do. I think that it's really not addressed because they can't figure that out yet. It is a huge component to a person's wellness. And when you begin that recovery journey, right, because things are going to happen in your life. There are things that happen. There are setbacks that happen. But if you're compounding it every day by eating unhealthy, processed up foods, how are you going to succeed? You're popping these pills, you're eating junk food, you're drinking sodas every day.
And water is a huge one that I got my gallon.
Yes, I'm a big water drinker myself. And that was one of the things that I've changed here. Again, I'm only in the second week, but I've always been a water drinker anyway. But I upped the level of water, drinking even more water to try and help just keep flushing everything out. And it also helps, like, I feel fuller, right? If I'm drinking more water, I feel more full and keep myself properly hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
I think these are big pieces of success in recovery. And how do you stop that cycle of going back in the hospital over and over or destroying your life? Mm-hmm. You don't have to end up back in the hospital. You can ruin relationships, jobs, because you're mentally unwell, because something has happened. Now, it's not severe enough to where you're in a full-blown emotional crisis, right? But you can do that. You can ruin jobs. You can have a great job and then have an episode and burn all your bridges down, and those setbacks add up over time.
Well, I think when I was talking about how I've done all this research and was like how Europe has GMO already banned these dyes. I mean, their whole government, and it's because I've been watching these other countries like Switzerland and Norway. Their whole government is based off trying to make a family unit healthy, and the studies and the education, So it's hard to see these other places actually like doing this stuff, and then America's just like we know, but there's no education that.
No. It's like if you're out. So like for me, I have to travel from Ennis to Bozeman, or if I'm traveling for training, say I'm doing training in the town, try finding a healthy meal somewhere. I mean, it's really hard. It's like if I'm doing PS 101 and I have an hour for lunch. Well, there's tons of restaurants within a few miles of the hotel. None of them serve healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
So you really got to work. You got to really work at. So I found a salad bar and just go get a salad for lunch. And I've been doing that for years. It's quick. I enjoy a good salad with veggies and all that kind of stuff, but it's really hard to find. There aren't healthy restaurants, restaurants where there's,
Yeah.
It's really challenging. What's in front of you is a lot of fast food, this overly processed fast food,
And the convenience, they can sell convenience.
It's a super convenience because you only have an hour for lunch, so you pull up through the drive-through and you can very quickly get a burger or whatever, a chicken sandwich or something, and it's fine. Those things are fine and you can have them occasionally, but that cannot be your everyday diet. That is not healthy. That is not helping a person in recovery at all. And I can't remember, we did talk about this as we're talking about it now. I'm recalling our first podcast. We did touch on this in the first one, and I can never remember exactly when I began to really become aware. But I remember that, soda was a big one. Not drinking, recognizing before I was in recovery, I never even thought about how much soda I was drinking, all that sugar coming into my system. It's like 30 years later, and I'm still not a big soda person, that I occasionally will have a soda, but it's not, that's not part of my diet. That's not part of my regular routine at all. And that's a big one, sugar, just taking in tons of sugar. And it can come from, for most people, I think it comes from soda. I think from drinking soda pop, right?
That's one of the first, because before there was awareness and stuff back in the 90s, my mom would have her whole car full of soda. And I recognized that every time I was thirsty, I grabbed a soda. And it just occurred to me, like, if I just stopped drinking this, what would happen? And it was just like night and day of, like, I never drank soda ever past that. And I lost a bunch of weight and got healthier and but I think the cravings were the hard part of stopping that. Yeah. Because it's easier to feed a craving than to go drink some water that's good for you,
Yeah. Well, your body, your brain becomes addicted to the sugar in a can of soda, right? Mm-hmm. And I see the Coke and Pepsi, they make those smaller cans now, but it's still sold in a package with what's the difference if you drink the whole package every day? Just because each serving is smaller, it's, there has to be a recognition of what is this doing? How do I feel? And I think, right? How do I feel? Yes. And I have to try that. I have to try going off of it to see how do I feel, or not eating fast food. How do I feel?
And I think that's what is the no-brainer that is the missing component. Because when I drive by fast food, see all this fast food, I won't eat it because I know it just makes me feel so bad that I'm not even going to eat fast food. Yeah. So I think maybe a component of trying to get people to recognize that, maybe, I don't know.
Raise a person's own awareness and just try it. I feel like if a person wants success in recovery, once you get stable, this isn't what you do the first day. Once you get yourself a little bit stable, then write out everything you eat in a day and take a look at what are you actually eating, what are you consuming, and what little changes can a person begin to make, and then try it for a few weeks and say, how do I feel? It's been 2 weeks. I haven't eaten any candy bars or whatever. How do I feel? Do I feel better? Okay, maybe I'll try it for 2 more weeks, right? Like to like, it's like a trial and error. It's like you don't have to just go cold turkey, because you brought up a good point. If you have these food addictions to certain things, and I think most people have them in some form, it's hard to go just cold turkey, because you will fail a bunch of times, right? Just say, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to do that, and see how you feel. And then for me, I know a big part of it is when I grocery shop, if I don't have it in the house, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to get in the car and drive to town when I get a craving at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
So if I don't buy it in the first place, it's not in my home. And then I'm not going to. That's a technique that I use that I find helps.
And my biggest one is with my kids, that I will not buy sugar at Sam's Club or Costco. Because if they don't like it and it's sitting around the house, then I'm going to eat a Costco or Sam's Club size of treats until it's gone. So
Here you go.
go to Albertsons and buy a small package.
The Costco. It's one of the reasons I don't shop there is because everything is gigantic. It really is one of the reasons. People will ask me, "Oh, you shop at Costco?" Like, no, for that reason, because everything is, boom, it's bigger, it's supersized, family sized, whatever, right? Like drinking if you stop, town pump, you get fuel. If I go inside, am I gonna get the big gulp maximum, whatever that is, 70,
Yeah.
liters of freaking soda
And
water?
then every year they come out with a bigger one, and
It's bigger and bigger. Exactly. It's bigger and bigger, right? And it's like, no, just pump the gas, get back in the car. You got water, go on your way. Because that's the same thing. It's that like sugar hit, to your brain. And it becomes this habit. But then what also becomes the habit is the next time I feel like, then I go to the grocery or go to the gas station. It's like, oh, I should go inside and get. There is nothing healthy in there for you to eat. Nothing.
mm-hmm.
That's the truth of it. In a gas station, there's nothing in there that's going to be healthy. I mean, maybe you can find some apples or something on the side, with the deli sandwiches or something, but there's just isn't.
When I do have a cheat time, I go to the gas station with gas station nachos. The cheese sauce.
There you go. There you go. Right? And I think those things are fine, right? Because we're not talking about, well, you can't ever have a Dorito the rest of your life, or you can't ever have a Coca-Cola the rest of your life. It's about not eating it every day.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is the key to it. And you can have it occasionally. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it can't be every day. Yeah.
The coolest part of finding you in Montana Peer Network is because it's put all these areas of health. Before, food and working out was just that environment. So I see peer support all fitness levels for mental health, which I grew up as an athlete, so I already kind of had the eating and the working out and the discipline of sports. Mm-hmm. But now that's so important to my recovery, and it's broadened out in through experience for mental health as a peer supporter. It's all those categories. It's not just a sports person or this. It's like all of it.
I think it's like there's recovery and there's wellness.
Yes.
that's how I've experienced my own recovery. So I'm into my third decade in recovery. I don't need to go to a support meeting to stay on my recovery journey. What I do need to do is get outside, be active, eat as healthy as I can, drink lots of water. That's how I keep myself well to not end up in the hospital, right? Like, keep building out that wellness toolbox. What are the things? And keep learning and keep expanding over time. And again, I say this, you've got to have some kind of healthy foundation to build that upon. If you don't have that part and you're still going out and using drugs or drinking or you're cutting, you're self-harming, whatever, you can't really work on those other things. Like, it's really hard to do that. I feel like you got to have that stability in recovery first. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody's going to be a peer supporter, if you can only support people as far as you yourself are evolved in your recovery journey. So if we have a lot of peer supporters who are just focused on that stability part, they're completely unaware of the wellness piece, what you and I are talking about, the sleep, the exercise, the food you're intaking. And that, I think, is a component as to also why it's not part of the behavioral health system. We have to get peer supporters more into wellness, and I think then we can have better results overall.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard when you're psychotic, you're self-harming. How are you going to think about not drinking a soda? You're living on the streets. You're just in survival mode.
Mm-hmm. I think it all just comes down to putting work into it, because I remember being in some places where if I had to pay for anything in my doctor or therapy, that was a no-go because it wasn't worth it, or I saw it as, like I had to shift to the point of mental health is so important that I'm willing to pay out of pocket. I'm willing to learn these skills. I'm learning to be aware of when I eat this food, what it does to me, instead of where I used to be of it was just, if it was convenient, then maybe I would do it, or if they paid for it, or, I don't, what I mean? It all like.
I do know what you mean. It sounds like you had some kind of awareness, some sort of awakening to it, to the deeper meaning of recovery, what is more like advanced recovery, and then that leads, in my opinion, leads into the wellness piece about being well. Where you move beyond that first initial stage of recovery where, again, it's more survival. It's more just, and unfortunately, some people stay there their whole lives, and they never really move beyond that. And it's this hamster wheel of hospitalizations and incarcerations and homelessness. And so you can't talk to that person about eating healthy or organic spinach or whatever, because that's way down the road, right?
I had to learn that unfortunately, my life, I was put in a spot that I was forced to be accountable, and people made me accountable. Like, if I slipped one time, I was in jail, I was in the hospital, they had the doctors, they were just like, they were always on me. And so now I'm starting to recognize that not everybody has accountability, like, because they didn't have that person that was like, I mean, it was just like, one time, and then so I think it's really hard to find that place where to make people accountable for their health, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You have to take responsibility for your own recovery. That is, in my opinion, one of the core principles. You have to take responsibility for your own recovery. No matter how sick you are, ultimately you have to make that choice. And the judge can force you and send you to jail or to the hospital or whatever, but you're going to get out. What's the choice you're going to make when you get out? You're going to go right back to doing the same things? Then it's going to lead you right to the same place. Yeah? You know? And also the piece around like finding who are those people who hold you accountable.
Yeah.
That's a big piece too. Because if you're around a bunch of people who enable you to stay sick, then you will probably stay sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. I used to do this group on the core principles, hope, education, responsibility, peer support, and advocacy. And those core principles are embedded in things like RAP, you know. Like this is how you get better. Like there's kind of some core things you've got to, you know, you got to have a little hope. You have to educate yourself, you know, just like we're talking about here. I know you read a lot about food and studies and, you know, you're always sending stuff, and that's an important component to expand your knowledge base.
Yeah.
This isn't just go see your psychiatrist, get your pill, and you're all better.
Well, I feel like another part of coming from Washington is that I grew up in the environment of education and research, and it's I feel like my science is kind of like mindfulness for me. I just learned about mindfulness instead of white knuckling it, and you don't have to suffer. Suffering's old. And I think that's where I want to be, is with science, that you don't have to struggle or fight. It's just, it's a tool.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. It totally is. Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. Well, we could do a whole nother podcast on education and share some of the places we go to find out information, and the people I watch. I know you do too. We watch a lot of YouTube videos, but only certain ones, trusted ones, right? Like, you know, right? Because there's a lot of nonsense out there. We should do another podcast and just talk about that piece, about some of the really good ones.
My YouTuber influencers are investigative and journalists, so it's based off trying to get the truth out. So
yeah, we should do it.
Yeah.
That'll be our third one we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts you want to share on food and mental health? And
no, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, to you, the listener, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Recovery Talks podcast. Heidi, I want to say thank you for taking the time, and thanks for being a part of MPN, and I look forward to the next podcast too.
Yeah.
Okay. Tune in to another episode of Recovery Talks podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you.
There's always hope. Recovery is possible. Recovery works.
There is hope in recovery. Healing takes time.
Recovery needs resilience.
You can get through anything. Recovery works.
Recovery rocks!